Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Annie, this is Stanley, and we're here to talk about books. So my husband Dave has left me on my own again, and regular viewers will know that that means a ridiculous reading challenge. Yay! It's not going to be quite as ridiculous as the one I did last month where the dice dictated my day. I will put a link to that up so you can watch that if you want to see the chaos. But anybody who is involved in HRCYED, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, will know that the new prompts for HRCYED 3.0 came out near the start of June. Wild excitement. I've never been so excited in my life. I spent the entire weekend building a spreadsheet, planning my TBR. It was so much fun. Anyway, to mark the transition between HRCYED 2.0 and HRCYED 3.0, I am going to do a reading vlog over the next few days. But before I get into the details of that, let's make some tea. So what is going to be the first tea choice of the vlog? 7. Decaf Earl Grey. Okay. Probably not my top choice, but you know, I'll take it. Don't need the infuser tray. And then we have bags. Got this free from Waitrose, so I can't really complain. And I do like Earl Grey. I don't go for it that often, but every now and then. Okay. So now that we've got our tea, which is always an important accompaniment to reading in my view, I will tell you more about the challenge. So I finished the main prompts for HRCYED 2.0 towards the end of February because I am ridiculous. But the creator, Stephanie over on QWERTY, released a secret prompt at the start of every month, which was an extra book we could read to fit a specific prompt for the month, and we would get rewards. I wasn't actually using the rewards, but I am going to this year, definitely. But I'm a completist, so I do want to finish the secret prompt for June. So I am going to listen to an audiobook across the week to fulfill the secret prompt and complete the entirety of HRCYED 2.0 with all of the secret prompts included. And then I'm going to start HRCYED 3.0 early, because it doesn't officially start till the 7th of July, but I can't wait that long. I mean, who's going to wait that long? And I also had this time free and I wanted to do this video, and I'm going to see how many prompts that I can tick off on my bingo board before the end of the week. That's the plan. We're going to see how it goes. So the June secret prompt for HRCYED 2.0 is to read a book where the author has a surname which can also be used as a first name. And for that, and because it's short and I can get through it in a few days, I'm going to read The Dalagut Dream Department Store by Mie Lee. And it's a Japanese cozy fantasy about a town where everything revolves around products to do with helping people sleep, and the protagonist at the start of the book gets a job at the Dalagut Dream Department Store where they sell specific types of dreams. And I think the rest of the book is various stories about people who come to the store and what dream they're given and how it helps them. And I expect it's going to be lovely. Very nice accompaniment to frantic reading of as many books as possible for HRCYED 3.0. Speaking of which, I have my trusty HRCYED pot with all of the prompts for the new bingo board in it, and I'm going to pull a prompt and then I'm going to read a book which fulfills that prompt on the board and combine it with something else, because you can combine prompts and have 2 per book. And then I'm going to pull another prompt and read another book, and we'll see how far we get as the week goes on. So that's the plan. I hope you're as excited as I am. Let's get picking, see what the first prompt is going to be. So Stanley's got the HRCYED pot already. What is the first prompt going to be? go with, oh, this one. Acquire creatures. Oh, this is a fun one. Lots of options for that as well. Excellent. Thank you, Stanley. So the full name of this prompt is actually, I must endeavour to acquire all these creatures. And there's a list of attributes which may or may not be connected to some kind of franchise. And you have to find a book that relates in some way, either something to do with the cover or the title or the contents. So it's pretty broad to these also fairly broad categories. They're like fire, water, shadow, ground, flying, dragon, normal. You know, it covers quite a lot of stuff. And I think you only have to do 5. There's 5 on this prompt square. But in order to cover off 4 of them in one day, I am picking The Girl and the Galdorian by Tim Probert, which is a middle grade comic book series of which there are 4 volumes. And I think I can fit each of the 4 volumes into a different bit of the acquiring creatures prompt. So I'm quite excited about that because I should be able to read all of those in one day. And I think based on the covers, they're all going to be set in very different types of landscape. So I'm planning on combining it with the biome square, where you have to read a selection of books that are set in different types of landscapes. So this is going to be fantastic. I'm hoping that today I'm actually going to tick off 8 prompts on the HRCYED 3.0 bingo board, and that makes me so happy. So I'm going to go and get reading because I've been wanting to read this comic book series for a while, and now seems to be the perfect time, not least because I can also use it for the middle grade section of the Our Fantasy bingo board. Even better. Okay, let's go. Stanley, I'm excited. Are you excited? Are you excited? We're all excited. You might be able to tell. So the first day of this reading challenge has gone extremely well. In most ways, but we'll come back to that in a minute. First of all, I am about a third of the way through Delegate Dream Department Store, and I must make a correction. Many apologies, because I think I said it was Japanese yesterday and it's South Korean. Should have done my research. I have done my research now. South Korean. It's cute, it's sweet, it's a bit weird, but then that's to be expected. Penny, the protagonist, I really like her. I like the fact that it's about the economy of the town and the governance and managing of the shop as much as it's about anything else. Although I would prefer maybe a few more bits about actual stories of customers, but I think maybe that'll come into it a bit later. I'm not sure I'm wholly following every single bit of the economics and the logistics, but overall, having a really good time. It's really great story to have in my ears this week. Yeah, enjoying it. And then on to Lightfall by Tim Probert. Overall, absolutely phenomenal. Really loved it. So the first volume, The Girl and the Galdorian, follows Beatrice, who is living in the forest with her adoptive grandfather, and they make potions for people. And then she goes out for some ingredients, and when she comes back, he has gone, and he's left a letter saying that he's gone on a quest to look after some kind of weird seal that she's never heard of. And she's really worried because he's quite old and he's starting to lose his memory occasionally. So she sets out after him, and the most important thing I should have said is that she meets the Galdorian, Cadwallader, in the forest before, when she's getting the ingredients, and he goes on the adventure with her. And he's this amazing kind of fish frog kind of guy. And they set out to find the grandfather and then get embroiled in the bigger story. So the first one I'm using, it's the I must endeavour to collect all the creatures square, and I'm using it for the grass section of that because it's got grass on the cover. And in biomes, I'm going to use it for woodland because Beatrice B, as she is known mostly in the book, and Gramps live in the woods. And yeah, really phenomenal. 4.5 stars for the first one. They meet lots of really interesting characters along the way. There's lots of heartwarming moments. There's quite a lot of excitement. It's emotive. Yeah, absolutely what I want from a comic. So the second volume, Shadow of the Bird, even better. Absolutely. Totally amazing. Got quite violent. There's some battles. A lot of people died, which I always get surprised by in middle grade, but it does happen. I'm not going to go into that much of the plot because spoilers, but even more fantastic characters. The motley crew of the adventuring gang grows in interesting ways. Yeah, really phenomenal. Made me laugh out loud, made me go, oh my God, oh, gasping. Reacting out loud is always a good sign for me. I'm going to use it for the water creature and also underground river for the biomes, because that's an important place that they go to in the story. 5 stars for volume 2, definitely. Loved it. Volume 3, The Dark Times, didn't hit quite as hard, but it was still really good development of the story. I should say the art is absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes it's a bit cutesy, but I don't mind that at all. But there are some really beautiful spreads, really beautiful paintings in there, especially of the landscapes. All of the characters are really interesting and distinct and very cute. Yeah, I really love the art style. But yes, volume 3 kind of dipped just a smidge. It was still a 4 stars, definitely. Still really loved it. But yeah, not quite as good. And for that one, I'm going to use dark for the creatures and also crater for the biome, because they go somewhere that's in a crater, which is very important and very different from where they've come from, literally just outside, because of certain magic that happens in the world. So that's kind of handy for an interesting biome. And volume 4, a place between, back up to 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Really great development of the story. The stakes are really ramped up. Some of the characters get separated, which is interesting. I do like them together, but it did add quite a lot to the tension. For the creature, for this one, I'm going with poison, because the land is being poisoned from underneath. And for the biome, I'm going for desert, because the place between of the title is a desert. So 4.5 stars overall for Lightfall, apart from the fact that it's not finished. Oh, didn't do my research on Delegat Dream Department Store properly. Didn't do my research on Lightfall properly either. I thought 4 volumes was it. I thought it was complete, and it's not. Oh my God, I need more. But the last volume only came out in April, and they've been released 2 years apart. Am I going to have to wait 2 years for the next section of this story? I don't think I can do it. At least it's easy enough to reread once it comes around again, but I'm going to have to put it on my series tracker, because I cannot leave these characters. I have totally fallen in love with this found family. I mean, it's phenomenal. But yes, bit annoyed about that, but also not, because there's going to be more. So, you know, if you're a reader, you understand the struggle. But oh, I was very upset. I got to 30 pages from the end. I was like, this isn't going to finish, is it? It's not going to end. Oh my God, cliffhanger. Oh well, never mind. But that wraps up the first prompt draw, and I have fulfilled 8 prompts. If I can get another creature prompt over the course of the week, then I can actually finish an entire square, which would be exciting. But I guess now we'll go and find out what we're picking from the pot next. So, what does the box of prompts have in store for us now? Oh, that one fell out. It's obviously keen. Bookception. Oh, that's probably one of the hardest squares on the whole bingo board. Very specific requirements. It's going to take some thought. So, Bookception is definitely a tricky one, because it's a play on Inception, because you have to find a book within a book. So essentially you only have to read 2 books to complete the square, but you have to read a book where another book, which is actually a real book, is mentioned by name in the book you're reading, and then you have to read that book. So it's a little bit tricky to plan for, because you're not necessarily going to be able to find out what books are mentioned in other books. But I think I have a potential solution which works for this video, which is The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christine Ferré-Fleury, which is about a young woman living in Paris and something to do with a mysterious bookshop. And because she reads, I have done some research, but I guess we'll find out whether my research skills have improved since yesterday. I believe it is actually mentioned which books she and possibly other people are reading. So I'm hoping that there'll be an option in there, which I won't mind also reading to complete the square. So that's my plan. I don't really have another prompt for this one to fulfill, so I'm hoping that I might be able to complete the acquiring the creatures square with it, because there's quite a few quite broad options left for that one, and something will fit, I'm sure. So it's also very short, so I should be able to finish it in a day. But my only reservation is, hasn't got a particularly great rating online, not that great reviews, but you know, it's, as I say, it's short, so hopefully I'll be able to get through it, and I'll be able to tick off the first part of Bookception, and then I'll know what I'm going to be reading for the second part of Bookception. So I'm going to go off and start reading this, and I will come back and let you know what I think later on. So it's day 3, and I read the whole of The Girl Who Reads on the Metro yesterday, and oh my god, it was amazing. I don't know why people don't like it. I haven't actually looked at the reviews. Actually, no, I do know why people probably don't like it. It's very all over the place. Tonally, plot-wise, coherence-wise, I'm not sure it really knows what it's trying to do. But for some reason, this was absolutely the book I needed yesterday. And I just fell into it, really loved it. Amazing stuff. It's about a young woman called Juliet who watches people on the metro who are reading and tries to figure out what books they're reading and extrapolate from that things about who they might be and what their lives are like. She doesn't like her job, but she is walking part way to work one day and she stumbles across a mysterious bookshop. And then that leads her on an adventure to matching books to the people who need them. It reminds me a lot of the kind of Japanese and South Korean sort of cozy fantasy books, which are a bit whimsical and dreamlike and don't necessarily have the most coherent linear plot in the world. It's got some interesting twists and turns. About the halfway point, a character from the start came back into it and he was my favourite character, really lifted the story. And then about 50 pages from the end, it's quite a tragic twist, which really hit. A lot of the themes are very bluntly stated. This is not a subtle book, I will say that. But for some reason, it just worked for me. It absolutely worked for me. I loved it from start to finish. This was an easy 5-star read. And that's quite rare. It's much more common this year than in previous years because I've kind of changed how I'm doing it. It's kind of vibes and experience related rather than trying to be objective about books. Because, I mean, books are subjective, aren't they? And it worked fantastically well for the Bookception Square for HRCYED, where you have to read a book where a real book is mentioned by name and then read that book. I had a massive list to go through, massive list. The first one, I was a little bit concerned because the first book, I don't know whether it's actually real. I haven't looked it up. That's mentioned is A History of Insects Useful to Man, Animals and the Arts with a supplement on how to destroy pests. And I was like, I don't want to read that. If I was going by the book, the real book that was mentioned the most, I'd have to go with Alice in Wonderland, but I don't really want to read that either. I'm actually thinking I'm going to land on, what's it called? The Restaurant of Regained Love by, I think it was Ita Okagawa. I apologise if I've got that wrong. I didn't look it up before I started filming. Stupid me. My research this video, very poor, very poor. Come on, Stanley. Got to keep me to task on the research, okay? That's your job. Quality assurance. Quality assurance is your job. What are you doing? Anyway, so I'm going to do that because that was mentioned a couple of times and was actually relevant to the plot and sounds lovely. It's a Japanese cozy fantasy. So yes, I'm having a bit of a run of that with Japanese and South Korean cozy fantasy at the moment. Anyway, I'm waffling on. This was fantastic. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to everybody, but absolutely the book I needed. 5 stars. Lovely. Going to keep it. It's a really beautiful edition as well. It's sort of slightly foiled and it's got the book flaps and stuff. It's really pretty. Found it in a charity shop. Just bought it because of the title. Amazing. Right, so day 3, doing well. Finished lots of squares. No, finished 1 square because yes, I can use this to finish the acquiring the creatures square on the HRCYED bingo board, because one of them is bug. One of the types is bug, and because the bug book is the first book mentioned and the character who's reading it becomes important later in the story, I'm taking it, I'm claiming it. There is a whole thing with Juliet thinking about spiders a lot, so it's fine. The one thing I would say, the girl who reads on the metro does not in fact read on the metro until well over halfway through. She doesn't read at all until well over halfway through. It actually talks about her having a book in her bag that she hasn't looked at in a week. So I don't think she's quite as obsessed with books as she claims at the start. Waffle-tastic. Let's pick another prompt because I am roaring along with this challenge and really enjoying it. And what is the next draw gonna be? Let's go with that one. Regions. Okay, interesting. So the traipsing through the region square on the HRCYED 3.0 board is replacing the all around the world square from last year, I think it was called, which was reading a book set in each of the different continents. And this is to go a little bit smaller in terms of regions. So you're kind of like doing the same thing because I want to be as diverse as possible in terms of the locations that I'm doing. But you've got to identify a much smaller geographical region, basically. So the book that I have picked for this challenge, this vlog, is Project 17 by Eliza Victoria, which is set in a northern municipality of Manila in the Philippines. So there you go. It's sci-fi. There's something to do with a young woman, I think, who goes to a random house somewhere for a babysitting job, and then it turns out to be very different to what she expected. I can't really remember, but it's been on my e-reader for a very long time, and neither Dave nor I know how it got there. So it's been on the TBR for a little while and haven't got around to it because I have no idea why it's there. So I'm going to read that because it's pretty short, and hopefully finish that today so that I can start something new again tomorrow. Day 4 in the HRCYED transition. I mean, is Big Brother still a thing? I don't even know, showing my age there, but I'm having a great time. I have finished the Delegat Dream Department Store audiobook by Miye Lee, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's very much in keeping with books like What You're Looking For Is in the Library or Before the Coffee Gets Cold, where it's kind of like little episodes strung together. Less so with this one, actually, because I was expecting there to be more individual customer stories and less about the store and the staff. And it's actually nearly all the store and the staff, with occasional customers that like drop in and we get bits from their perspective, but they're always the man, the woman, the little girl. They don't, some of them do get named later on, but they're quite generic and archetypal. But we're mostly following Penny, the protagonist, who goes to work for the store, and the store owner, Mr. Dallagut, and all of the different people who work there. And I really enjoyed that. I loved all of the logistics and the governance of the store and the economics and all of that kind of stuff. I could see that some people would find this incredibly boring, but I didn't. I thought it was lovely. It had multiple moments of connection, engagement, deep emotion every now and then, which was enough to kind of like keep me really in it. Yeah, it was great to have on. I really enjoyed having it in my ears. The narration wasn't the best. It was a little bit hesitant, I would say, as if the person was like reading, I think, potentially something in a language that wasn't their first language, which is entirely fair enough. And it was perfectly fine. It was just every now and then it was a little bit stuttery. But yeah, 4 stars. Would recommend if you like this kind of whimsical. It's whimsical rather than cozy, I would say. Whimsical fantasy. Yeah, enjoyed it. And I have finished. I have done all of the do for HRCYED 2.0. Oh my God. Yeah. I should also say that I'm very grateful to Dallagut Dream Department Store, because my only other real option for a book with an author whose surname can also be a first name was A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. And I wasn't going to get through this week. So Dallagut Dream Department Store, 6 hours of an audiobook. Much preferable. I am quite looking forward to getting to this, and I'm glad that I have a system of TBR prompts and challenges and stuff, which eventually one day will mean that I have to, because otherwise I'm never going to pick it up. But this week was not that time. I will put you back on the shelf, Mr. Chonker, and we will interact another time. Moving on to somewhat less successful HRCYED 3.0 news, although I did manage to finish another book and tick off another 2 prompts. Project 17 by Eliza Victoria, not really my thing. I was intrigued enough at the start. So Lillian goes, she thinks she's going for a babysitting job, and then it turns out that a guy called Paul wants her to look after his brother Caleb, who has schizoaffective disorder and needs someone to stay with him just in case while Paul is at work. And originally Lillian thinks that they're trying to take advantage of her in some way, but then she agrees to the job and things progress from there. She starts feeling as if things aren't as they should be and decides to investigate what might be going on with the brothers and the situation that they're in. And it had enough to keep me reading. I wasn't really struggling, because I don't like to go, oh, well, I was thinking it's only a short book and it's going to tick off 2 squares and it's going to be good for part of the blog if I can tick off as many prompts as possible. I'm not going to lie, that was going through my head, but it wasn't a massive chore to continue reading it. We'll say. It was a quick read. It wasn't a difficult read. The writing style was fairly simple. Nothing was really egregiously off-putting. I just didn't really do it for me. I didn't really like the characters. I think my main issue was that there wasn't really any reason given for them to actually investigate the situation outside of idle curiosity. And some of the things Lillian did resulted in violence that harmed other people, and she didn't really seem to have a good reason for doing it, which was annoying. And I just didn't really like her. It also seemed as though she formed this incredible bond with these 2 brothers by the end. And whilst it's possible, given the amount of time she spent with them, that would be the case, we didn't see it on the page, so there wasn't a basis for that in my head when they were going, oh, we will now put ourselves in danger to try and protect you. I was like, why would you bother? Because she's kind of annoying and she's caused all this trouble. And no. The actual story itself, there was quite blunt themes of police states, government corruption, big corporations trying to control what people have access to, that kind of thing. There were evil robots. But I don't think the science fiction setting really was embedded in the story. It was just kind of like plonked on top. And the writing wasn't anything great. There were typos, there were systemic issues with incorrect tense use, which as a professional editor I find disappointing, but I do get that independent authors can't necessarily afford me. And that is the reality, and it's a sad reality. I would love to be able to fix everybody's books, but I cannot, because I also have to, have money to eat and look after Stanley. Stanley doesn't require much financial looking after, to be fair, but I like to keep him in the lifestyle to which he's become accustomed, because otherwise he might disappear and then all my subscribers will flee, because we all know that he's the main draw for the channel. What was I saying? Project 17. I did finish it. It was okay. 2 stars. Let's move on to a different prompt. And what does the prompt box have in store this time? Oh, how about that one? Elements. Okay. So Elements last year in HRCYED 2.0 was covered by the Become the Avatar square, where you had to read a book for each of Earth, Wind, Air and Fire. This year it's Elements from the periodic table, which is a fair enough progression. Could have probably predicted that. But it's one of the ones where when the announcement came out, I was a little bit annoyed, because whilst I understand that one of the main things about HRCYED is to get you to read more widely and outside of your comfort zone, which I wholly endorse up to a point, because I was trying this year to fulfill as many challenge prompts as possible with books I already own. And this prompt is quite specific. And I had 2, and you'll probably be able to guess what they are. I have iron and I had gold. And those are the 2 I had. So I am using them, even though they're very generic and probably the most common, along with silver, that you're going to find. So for the rest of them, I've had to branch out a bit and find some other stuff. But I'm actually quite pleased with what I've come up with. And for this challenge, I have found another fairly short book, which is called Cobalt Blue by Matthew Riley, which is also going to fulfill the rainbow of words, blue in the title. So I think I'm very, very efficient. Both words fulfilling a prompt. Cobalt for the elements, blue for the rainbow of words. I don't really know much about it. It's something to do with superheroes. It looks very silly, and it's not going to take me very long to read. And to be honest, that is basically the reason that I picked it. So I guess I will go and give it a try and see what happens. Oh my god, what did I just read? I'm not sure I have the words. Cobalt Blue by Matthew Riley is a book, I guess, for certain values of book. So what is it about? It's after some kind of satellite comes back from Venus, a joint US and Russian expedition go to look at it, and 2 people, one from each country, get superpowers. So then America has a superhero and Russia has a superhero. And then basically the entire plot is the American superhero dies and the Russian superhero comes to America to kill all of her children and then take over the world. And that's basically it. It reads like it was written by a bloodthirsty 12-year-old boy with not very good literacy. The prose is very, very pedestrian. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, with lots of horrible violence designed to shock you, which it kind of doesn't. It tries to manipulate your emotions way too hard and thus pretty much fails. None of the characters react to things or talk in a way that is even remotely natural. There's almost no character depth or development. I mean, that's not fair. I liked the WITSEC officer, the marshal, and I liked one of the superhero children. They're not children, they're all adults. But one of the children of the American superhero I did quite like by the end, despite the fact that he was the token queer representation and largely the representation was terrible. What else did I have to say? I think I need to scrub my brain. I don't think I've ever hate read a book before, but I couldn't stop reading it. It wasn't that I was trying to finish it for the challenge, although, as I said with the last one, that did figure into it just a bit. But I needed to see it through because it was so bad. And I guess I'm glad I did, but I'm not sure. I feel like I only finished it a few minutes ago. I haven't recovered yet. Oh man. Yeah, I've definitely not yelled at a book as much ever before in my life. So that was quite entertaining, I guess. And I do want to read out the things. I do want to read out the things that I was yelling. I did write them all down because it gives you an indication of my experience of reading this book as I was going along. Although I guess towards the end and possibly in the middle, some of these might be considered spoilers. So just jump ahead a couple of minutes if you don't want spoilers for Cobalt Blue by Matthew Riley. But don't read this book. I mean, I don't feel bad about spoilers because nobody should... Anyway, so I'm just going to read these out. This was me reading the book. That's not how WITSEC works. That's not how narrative viewpoint works. That completely contradicts what she just said. That's not how real people would react. Why is this chapter in bold? Why are people telling each other things they already know? Your entire family is being systematically hunted down and violently murdered one by one, mostly on TV. Why aren't you upset? Why are you making out like this is a really big reveal? You just told us that in the last chapter. Stop using italics to try and make things more dramatic. And I realise I'm yelling to make things more dramatic, but still. The last one's probably my favourite and is the one that is actually spoilery. You can't talk if all your organs have just exploded. Oh gosh. So there you go. That was Cobalt. That was Cobalt Blue by Matthew Riley. It does tick off a periodic elements prompt for HRCYED and a rainbow of words prompt for HRCYED. So that's at least something. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. The half star because I did actually quite enjoy hate reading it. But let's hope that I've had 2 duds in a row. Let's hope that I can get something nice to finish off the vlog. Something a bit more fun, a bit better, a bit more enjoyable for it being good, not being bad. So I guess we go back to the prompt pot. And another prompt to draw. Let's go for this one. Author backlist. Interesting. So, author backlist, as you might imagine, is to read some of the backlist of an author whose other books you have enjoyed in the past. And that's possibly not a good way to describe it because I didn't enjoy the other book that I read by the author I've chosen. Well, that's not true. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it enough to carry on with the series. But the author is Tamsin Muir, and the book that I have previously read, which I wasn't a massive fan of, was Gideon the Ninth. And I know an awful lot of people absolutely love that series. And I am thinking about giving it another try, to be fair, because people keep raving about it. I can't remember why I didn't like it, but I definitely didn't carry on. All that to say, for author backlist, because it's been recommended to me, and I believe it was by Louise from Foxes and Fairy Tales. Apologies if it was someone else, but Louise has been giving me some decent recommendations recently. But I am going for Princess Floralinda and the 40 Flight Tower, which is also going to fulfill part of the Choose Your Party Square, where you have to pick books based on vibes or anything more specific that fit one of the character classes from D&D. And I'm going to choose the fighter because the premise of the book is that someone has put Princess Floralinda at the top of this giant tower and filled it full of monsters. And the idea is that princes will have to come and fight their way through the tower to get up to the top and rescue her. So it's going to be my D&D fighter book. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a fun one, and I'm going to have a better time than I did with the previous two books I have read for this challenge. Let's go and find out. So, Princess Floralinda and the 40 Flight Tower was an interesting experience. I was delighted when I discovered that Moira Quirk was reading the audiobook, because she's one of my favourite audiobook narrators, but I wasn't actually that keen on how she did the voices, so okay, it's about Princess Floralinda, who is trapped at the top of a big tower, and she's waiting to get rescued, and it doesn't happen because all of the princes keep getting eaten by the dragon. And a bottom of the garden fairy called Cobweb turns up kind of by accident, and through various shenanigans they end up taking on the tower together. It sounds awesome, and the first half hour or so was awesome. It made me laugh out loud multiple times at the start. I was very intrigued to find out what would happen. And then it kind of got a bit tedious and a bit grim. There was a lot of dismemberment and horrible violence and discussion of infected wounds and that kind of stuff. This is not really my thing. And the characters themselves actually at one point made the argument for me as to why I wasn't really enjoying it that much. And the quote is, "You're not very nice, Cobweb," said Floralinda, and Cobweb replied, "Fancy you saying that." Because neither of them are very nice. So I didn't really get massively invested in them up until the end. I was thinking, oh, this is great actually, because it means that Tamsin Muir's not for me. I don't have to revisit Gideon the Ninth. Decision made, I can, draw a line under it and move on. And then the last half hour was absolutely brilliant and had me laughing out loud again and got me in the feels, nearly made me cry. Really fantastic ending. So I'm not really sure what to do with that, but I'm giving it 3.5 stars, and I am glad I read it. What is next from the pot? Oh. How about this one? Number titles. Ooh, a lot of flexibility in that. Excellent. So for numerical titles, there are 11 spaces on the bingo board, and you have to find a book with the word 1 in the title and a different book with the word 2 in the title, all the way up to 10, and then you have to get another book with a different number that is more than 10, and it can be any number you like. And once I had gone through all of the prompts when they came out and assigned all of the books that I already own where I could, I went out for a glorious couple of hours and went round all of the charity shops near me and picked up a whole load more interesting books that would fulfill more of the prompts that I hadn't filled. And one of those was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. And so that is what I am going to read for numerical titles. And it's also going to be part of the Choose Your Curriculum Square, where you have to pick 5 different subjects and read books that are at least tangentially related to them. They don't have to be non-fiction. And I'm going for spirituality with this one. As far as I'm aware, it's about a man who dies and then he meets 5 people in heaven. Let's go and find out. Oof. What a book to end this vlog on. I mean, wow. I did not know what I was getting myself into when I started reading this book. And to be honest, I think I probably would have preferred to take more time over it. So I suppose that's one of the dangers of doing how many books can I read in a certain period of time vlogs. But I did take my time reasonably because it's not that long. And I didn't rush it because it did take some thinking, it took some feeling. It absolutely made me cry, definitely. I wasn't too sure about it all the time, all the way through. Eddie, who is 83, I think, at the start of the book, he works at an amusement park and his job is maintenance. So he goes around and does checks on all the rides to make sure they're safe. And he dies. And then the rest of the book is him meeting various people from his life who have been impactful, even if he doesn't know it, and learning things about life and death and people and relationships. And yeah, I didn't agree with everything, all the points that were being made. And some of it was pretty unpleasant because aspects of it to do with the war. But wow, it really came together in the end. It's about thinking about the way different events impact different people. So the fact that everybody in your life contains multitudes that you're unaware of, and they might experience the same event as you, but in a very, very different way, and it will have a very, very different impact for them. And that you may make assumptions and have attitudes and opinions based on your own experience that doesn't take into account what's happened to other people and how they might be feeling about things and how they're approaching things. So that was all really interesting and quite deep, a bit heavy in places, but it really, really beautifully put together. The ending was amazing, and it was an absolute culmination of everything that had happened in the book up to that point. Really, really beautifully done. But I didn't love all of it, so 4.5 stars for the 5 people you meet in heaven. Just a quick insert to ask for some recommendations. My current HRCYED plan has 87 books on it to cover the 150 prompts, and it would be really great if I could get that down under 80. So I have a list of the prompts that I could still combine with other prompts. So if you can think of any books that would combine 2 of these prompts together, do let me know in the comments, please, and I will be eternally grateful. So I've got the periodic table of elements, so elements in the title, set in the UK but not in London, the word 9 in the title, or in fact 4, 7 or 8, protagonist called Amanda. That would be amazing if you could combine that one with some of these. That's my hardest one. Queer representation and BIPOC author combined, and also combined with one of the other prompts. The word orange in the title, that's another really tricky one that I'm struggling with. Food on the cover, or weather events on the cover. So put your thinking hats on. If you've got any recommendations that would combine 2 of those prompts together so I can get my number of books down under 80, that would be amazing. And that's it. 5 days, 10 books. I'm very happy with how this has gone. We started out quite high with Lightfall. It dipped in the middle with Project 17 and Cobalt Blue, but pulled it back again at the end with Princess Floralinda and 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And along the way, Delegat Dream Department Store and The Girl Who Reads on the Metro also really good. So overall, I've had a fantastic time doing this. I hope you've had a good time watching it. And I've completed, woohoo, the final prompt for HRCYED 2.0, the last secret prompt. And I've ticked off 18 prompts from the HRCYED 3 board. So that's a great start to the new challenge. I feel like I've really zoomed off from the starting blocks, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing the challenge. Do let me know if you are taking part in HRCYED 3.0. When are you starting and why? And what's your favourite square on the board? What are you looking forward to most? Thank you again so much for watching, and do give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more content of me and Stanley talking about books. And I will see you again in another video very soon. Oh, sorry, Stanley, sitting a bit awkwardly. Bye for now.